theme song's pretty dope.
Popcorn dogs and popcorn dogs. Popcorn dogs and popcorn dogs.
We'll leave it to them.
It's so catchy, though.
Good luck getting that out of your head, listeners. I'm Brad, and
My name's Tyler. Popcorn Dogs is my favorite popcorn podcast. Yeah.
I do enjoy Popcorn Dogs. I'm a movie lover. You are a movie lover as well. Mm-hmm. We both love horror films.
Yes.
Before we jump into this Evil Dead rankathon, have you seen any movies lately that tickled your fancy?
That weren't Evil Dead?
Yeah, there are some other films out there, I believe. That aren't Evil Dead?
I watched Hot Tub Time Machine for the first time since it came out. Not as good as I remember, which is kind of sad because I remember really liking that movie. And I also rewatched The Change Up with Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds.
Sounds like you're at the bottom of the barrel for comedies right now.
It's just whatever HBO had. And I was feeling a little nostalgic. I wanted to go on an early 2010 comedy kick there for a minute.
It was the last time there was a big comedy movie still coming out in theaters.
Yeah.
Because they did drop off hard because they weren't making monies. It's all, franchises and stuff now. So it's sad. You don't really see as many comedies.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Or you don't hear about them anyways. They all just go straight to whatever streaming.
If Superbad was made nowadays, we'd be on the third or fourth iteration.
Well, we went and saw a movie yesterday, and there was a trailer for Mean Girls.
What?
Mean Girls is getting it. I believe it didn't show it, but the main character, or one of the characters, said, "I'm Regina George or George, whatever."
Yeah.
I think it's just a musical version of the movie.
Oh, it's not a remake or anything.
Well, it's a remake into a musical.
That's fine.
And it's got Tina Fey in it, and it's got
that's fine by me.
Tracy. It's got Leon Phelps from The Ladies' Man. I forget his name.
Yes.
Yep.
What the fuck is that guy's
You
name?
never once paid for drugs.
Yeah. He's also in Iron Man.
Yes. His
Warhammer. War Machine.
No.
He's War Machine.
No, he's not.
That's Don Cheadle.
It's Don Cheadle or Terrence Howard.
Yes.
And one of them is a good War Machine. The other one is Terrence Howard. Yeah. But me personally, we watched 2 movies yesterday. We went to the theaters for the first time in a long time and saw The Marvels.
How was that?
It was really good.
Really?
It was it was very funny. It was very fast. And the action, some of the best action I've seen outside of the Guardians in a long time for a Marvel movie.
Is there a post-credits scene in that one?
People are talking about that more than the movie.
Someone showed me part of it at work the other day, and I didn't follow it at all. I have no idea what I watched. It was some woman in a hospital.
Well, spoiler warning, if anybody cares, here's the credits. Binary is one of the characters winds up in another universe, and then Binary is there. And Binary is a double power Captain Marvel variant person.
It's like Bizarro.
I read a little bit, and if Dylan was here, he'd be like, oh, it's a little different. But Captain Marvel accidentally lets Rogue take her powers, and then something happens. She gets pregnant and gives birth to the rapist.
What?
I don't know. Captain Marvel was weird for a while, but then she becomes Binary. And then there's also Kelsey Grammer's Beast from the X-Men.
I did see that, yeah.
And it was all digital, but I like Kelsey Grammer's voice, so he gets a pass.
Oh, it's voiced by Kelsey Grammer in this universe, huh?
Well, it's also the same actor from the original 3 X-Men movies.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I forgot. I do like that model of Beast, though. It looks very comic booky.
Yeah, and I like the Beast in the prequel ones, too.
Like the Days of Future Past ones?
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult. I like him.
Yeah.
I'm a freak. Look at my feet. It's like, calm down, dude. You're the Beast. Everyone loves you.
Yeah. You're going to sell so many action figures.
You and Nightcrawler were my favorite people, and I don't know if it's because I like the color blue, or I just like that one of them was a monster scientist, and the other one was a teleporty scientist.
What about Mystique?
You don't love her.
Blue.
I preferred Rebecca Romaine Stamos to Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique.
I agree.
They're like, oh, people, I hate it when a studio responds to it. Like, people liked Mystique and, the X-Men First Class. They're like, she's the main character now. I'm like, no, she's not. You can't make that happen to me, and I don't accept it. Speaking of Michael Fassbender, though, we watched The Killer last night, which is David Fincher's new movie.
Thought it came out today, which it did come out yesterday, right?
It came out yesterday.
I thought it was today.
Stick to the plan. Follow the plan.
Is it good?
Don't improvise. Adapt. It's not my favorite Fincher film, but I mean, it's masterful Fincher filmmaking.
So, yeah.
It's the most straightforward movie of his I've seen, I think. There's, you know how you watch Social Network or Zodiac? There is ups and downs and, like, multiple characters and a lot of, like, things happen. This one's pretty straightforward. It's very procedural, which it's great. Michael Fassbender is endlessly charismatic. It's hard not to, like...
He's a busy man lately.
He's been a busy man. I mean, on the list of if Brad were gays, it's Oscar Isaac and Michael Fassbender.
That's a solid list so far.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any... I mean, Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Mexico on a roof in a pair of jeans. Those are the three.
Oh, specifically from...
That one, I was like, man, if I was gay, that would be my guy.
He does a backflip off the top of a house.
Sign me up.
Yep.
Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't do nothing for me, though.
I don't know. That scene in the trailer where he's threatening to kill himself because he's drinking too much is just one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
There's relating to people in there.
Listen here, you piece of shit.
That reminds me of, have you seen True Detective Season 2?
Yeah.
The scene where Colin Farrell, he is trying to psych himself up for a mission, and he's just like getting drunk and like dancing to some music, and then he collapses and starts crying and falls apart. I'm like, whoa. I'm going to turn this off and think about my life for a little bit here. I like it because no amp up, we're going to get wasted and like do something. That's not how it actually feels. It's just really sad.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about sad things for this episode.
We're talking about groovy things.
Groovy. Has become part of my vocabulary since watching these movies. I say it all the time now. Instead of cool or sounds great, I just go groovy.
Yeah.
It feels great.
And you know what? It accomplishes what you're trying to say too, and normally fewer words. Because it's just one.
And it's a fun word that nobody uses.
Yeah. It's, well, everything, time is a circle, and things fall out of fashion and they come back into fashion.
Are you talking about jorts again?
Yes.
They're going to come back. I know you're fighting.
They will come back.
Fighting the good fight.
But groovy was used probably, I don't know. I'm just going to throw out some bullshit history here. It was really popular in the 70s.
I think you're right.
And then it fell out of taste, and people started saying things like, that's cool, or I don't know what they fucking said after that. But it's coming back.
Cowabunga.
With bell-bottom jeans.
I don't even know what I was listening to yesterday, but they were talking about how Michelangelo quit saying cowabunga in like the new cartoons. He started saying booyakasha instead. And I got really offended.
Booyakasha.
They're like, kids don't know what cowabunga means. I'm like, that's what it means. It means a turtle does something and it just says it.
Yeah, Booyakasha sounds like someone trying to make up a Wisconsin city.
Yeah. Booyakasha. We're going to Booyakisha. Waukesha. Potawatomi.
Yes, we're going to Pato.
Why did you want to talk about Evil Dead movies, Tyler?
Well, Evil Dead is probably one of my favorite horror franchises, not because it is the best horror movie ever made, but because it is a fun watch. I really enjoy Evil Dead the same way that I enjoy the Scream movies.
I've never seen a Scream movie.
Oh, they're so good.
Which is very weird.
They,
Isn't there a TV series now, too?
I think so.
Gross.
There might be.
I don't know. I think the Alien series is getting a TV series. I don't know.
I'd watch it.
But as you were saying?
No, they're just, I got a lot of nostalgia for the movies growing up. I watched them. And then when I got to film school, they became an identity because when you go to film school, you got to pick something to be cool about. Yep. And I picked Evil Dead. And then luckily they made 2013 Evil Dead right as I was about to graduate college. So then I got even more into it. And I don't know. I like Bruce Campbell.
And
I
then
like
you
Sam
said
Raimi.
But then you told your film school friends that you liked the 2013 one, and they called you a hack.
Yeah, they crucified me.
You're like, oh, you don't even get why it's cool, man. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, I died on that hill too.
You ever seen Citizen Kane?
Yeah, oh my God. Rosebud, do you know what it means?
I like Citizen Kane, but I don't know. I think sometimes people pretend they like old movies just because they're told to, which I felt a little bit about some of these because this was my first time watching all of the Evil Dead movies pretty much. I think I watched 2013 a long time ago, but some of these did not work for me.
Yes. That's why I prefaced it with like the nostalgia for me. I watched them as a kid and then I watched them growing up, but they are not. I believe Evil Dead was Sam Raimi's first movie, correct?
Yes. I mean, feature movie. He made a short film, something about like, do I even have it written down here? He made a short film version of this as a proof of concept, and then he made Evil Dead.
I think that's probably another reason that I like the series so much is because when I found out that little tidbit, I was probably in film school already, so I was looking at it more as like a feasible path to follow. That if this man could do this back in like the late 70s, early 80s, the first one came out.
Released October 15th, 1981.
Yeah. I liked the DIY aspect of it, and being in film school, it was kind of a shot in the arm to be more creative and look at, I'm not going to write a movie for what I can make and what I have the means to make. I'm going to write the type of movie that I want to write and then try to figure out how to make it, which kind of changed my way of thinking creatively.
Or you can, we have one cabin, or Tarantino's like,
yes.
We have pretty much one warehouse.
Yes.
And that's using what you have. Where I remember back when I was in film school, someone's like, we got a really cool cabin. We went and shot a horror film up in a cabin. It's like, because we have it, and you couldn't do set design to recreate like his grandpa's old abandoned cabin with 1,000 things decaying in it. You use what you have.
Yeah.
And they probably had a cabin with a sick ass trap door, and they're like,
this would be gnarly, right?
This is good. Created, written, and directed by Sam Raimi. Shot on location in Morristown, Tennessee. During pre-production, 13 crew members stayed in the cabin, which I like that. That's cheap filmmaking.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen King gave it a rave review, which resulted in New Line Cinema acquiring the distribution rights. Because this played at Sundance. I think it was Sundance. Budget of $375,000, box office of about $30 million worldwide.
Smash hit.
Big fucking deal.
Yeah.
One of the most successful indie films of all time. And for the release, I like this. He was just hyping it up, getting people like there. He paid ambulances outside of the theater to build publicity. Like people passed out all the time. And people are like, dude, did you hear about this movie? There's an ambulance outside.
And people are still doing shit like that today.
It seems less inventive now.
Well,
like the Smile marketing thing where they just paid people to go to like professional baseball games and sit behind the plate and smile at this camera the whole time.
Yeah, I like the.
That's kind of cool.
I like the idea. That's a little corny, but I like the idea.
Yeah.
It was like Terrifier 2 did the same thing. They're like handing out barf bags as you go into the theater. They're like, yeah, people throw up all the time. It's pretty disgusting. You're going to want one. It's gross in there.
For Dr. Strangelove, Kubrick had them hand out Half-Life little like spinning wheels so you could determine the half-life of isotopes. And I'm like, you are just trolling people out there. That was who I leaned into. You said you were like, Evil Dead was part of your personality. I was just the Kubrick kid.
Yeah, not a bad kid to be.
No, I still am. He had custom tickets made for the movie too. So you'd go to the theater, you wouldn't get their ticket. He had custom tickets for this screening. And
that's bougie.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Took it on tour, got it at the Cannes Film Festival outside of competition. Not Sundance, at Cannes. And that's where King saw it. A U.S. rating of X.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Rated X.
Pretty cool.
That's gnarly. I mean, if you have a hot horror movie, And then they go ahead and they're like, yeah, that's rated X. That only is going to drive the pandemonium and to see your film even more. Like, it's forbidden.
Yeah, and then you're just not going to get it, Marcus Theaters or AMC's or whatever, but you will get it into like Avalons and Orientals and Alamo Drafthouse.
And then it becomes that, like, it's hard to see because it's so gnarly. Like, it's not, listen, Bill, it's not even rated R. It's rated fucking X, man.
Oh my God. Evil Dead 1. What happens in the movie?
So we got your typical, what's the trope, the typical trope of, I guess it wasn't typical back then, but a group of friends gonna go hang out at what turns out to be probably a cabin in the woods that's not as nice as they thought it was going to be.
Man, I mean, I see this, and I see Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and I see Cabin in the Woods, and I see like a beat-up old cabin. I'm like,
don't go in there.
No, I'm like, I could live here forever.
What?
You're out in the woods. I'm like, sweep it up, put a few posters of Master Chief on the wall, and we call it a day.
Don't they walk up and the door is just like banging?
Yeah.
So, like, first thing, get a lock on that bad boy. Bears can open doors.
No, I go in.
Well, at least
once the trap door blows open, I leave then. But wind blows around, doors. You would the trap door opening up though. That is a hard no. That's when it becomes a hard no situation.
Yeah.
There are many characters. Like what is it? Five friends. Only one of them really matters,
and that would be Ash.
Ash Williams.
Ketchum. Wait, no.
Back off. Bruce Campbell. Yeah, Ash. I don't have his last name, surprisingly. But Bruce Campbell, this movie is scary.
It is.
At times.
Yes.
It is way scarier than 2 and 3.
And I think time has not done this movie favors because it is a lot of practical effects because of what they had for budget limitations.
I prefer that.
They nail it. And I imagine back in the day, this was probably pretty gnarly.
I remember seeing this way back when I was a stoned early 20-year-old. And so naturally and this is the kind of movie where the low budgetness doesn't necessarily work for me. A lot of the like gags or the effects or like the set pieces, you're more just like watching how they pulled it off rather than invested in the characters. I'm never sitting there thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen to Cheryl and Linda? Like, I had to just look at my page to remember their names. And it also doesn't matter. It is more a showcase of cheap filmmaking and what they were able to accomplish. But I remember an image burned into my brain when I was very high is that demon locked under the trapdoor, like pushing it up and talking through it. I'm like, that's scary. That image, no special effects or no CGI, like beautiful. That's it is scary at times, this movie, when it's not leaning too much into camp.
Yeah. And that would become iconic for the rest of the series, essentially, skipping 3 and Rises, you have that locked in the cellar conversation happen in 2 and in 2013.
Yeah. Demon tree rape.
Pretty standard for this series. You're going to have to be okay with that. You want to hear a funny story?
Speaking of demon tree rape, bro.
Yeah, I have a funny demon tree rape story.
This sounds hilarious. I can't wait.
I had just seen 2013 in theaters, and I was living in Orlando at the time, and I had tickets the next night or the 2 nights later. It was the same week to go see Anthrax, the band, the 80s thrash band.
Okay.
Loved me some Anthrax.
Horrible name.
And opening for them was Queensryche, and it was supposed to be Municipal Waste.
Okay.
But they got taken off the bill because they were playing on Disney property, and Disney did not like the cut of their jib and thought that they were too dark, or they didn't say satanic.
Queensryche?
No, Municipal Waste.
Okay.
The middle band.
They were fine with Queensryche and
Anthrax. There was something about Municipal Waste. I wasn't too familiar with their music. I was there for Anthrax, and I don't
like them. Get off my property.
Exactly. But then Anthrax took the stage and was like, they have a movie playing next door where a woman gets raped by a tree and they won't let municipal waste play. That's bullshit. Everybody on 3 say fuck Disney. And we all screamed fuck Disney.
Well, that sounds
very
great.
loud.
I'm into that.
Yeah. That's my funny
That's
story.
your demon tree rape story.
Yeah.
They're in the woods, and the cabin has something in the basement, Sumerian Book of the Dead, called the
Necronomicon.
Naturam Demonto.
I call it the Necronomicon.
Well, there's 3 different books of the dead. Maybe one of them is that, but
I think there is one called the Necronomicon.
they also find Raymond Noby's tape recorder. The tape of incantations resurrects the demonic entity, which that's a rule that I'm like not sure how I feel about. Hearing somebody's recording can trigger it instead of you having to read it out loud.
It is weird adding like a weird third person aspect to the summoning.
Yeah, well, maybe they also thought like no kid's stupid enough to go in this basement and
Nobody
read this
knows
out loud.
Latin anymore.
It's true. So,
Yeah.
but there's always that one guy like in Cabin in the Woods, like I actually took some Latin in high school.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Do you remember any of it? No, I don't.
Veni Vidi Vici. Yeah, and then it just breaks loose. It just people are getting stabbed in the ankle with a pencil. That one I remember pretty well. Dismembering people with axes, decapitations with a shovel. You know, they're kind of standard things in this movie.
I asked my dad if he had watched Evil Dead, because this movie would have came out when he was like 11. So I was interested to see, like, when you were a kid, did you hear about it? And he knew of Evil Dead. The only thing he could tell me about the first one that he remembers is the point of view camera from the evil spirit's point of view running through the woods.
Yeah.
He thought that was pretty gnarly.
You know how they did that?
No, I actually don't.
You know, they couldn't afford a Steadicam.
They put it on a dog.
Well, no, they actually had a long piece of wood, like a long 2x4, and they put the camera in the middle, and it's 2 guys running. So it gives it like a more stable feel because it's like a long piece of wood. Mm-hmm. And that's how they were able to do it, which the Coen brothers took and used in Raising Arizona. Joel Coen actually worked on this movie.
No shit.
He partially edited the film, and they became friends with Sam Raimi.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they wrote a movie together, actually. Bruce Campbell, though, is not Bruce Campbelling it up in this movie. It's subdued. It's kind of, he's approaching it with a subtle, real performance instead of a smoldering eyes, strong chin guy.
He hasn't realized his full potential yet.
Well,
he's like Goku before Goku realizes he can go Super Saiyan.
Well, there's a barometer. There's like a little dial where it's like camp or earnest horror. And this one, it's more on the earnest horror. And then it just fucking leaves. This is the only one that qualifies horror, in my opinion, for Sam Raimi.
Yes. Because it's like, it's also weird because I did it in film school where like you make a movie or you make a short and you're like, that was really fucking good. I learned a lot during that. The idea I didn't accomplish because of whatever reason. So let's do that again, but different. And just kind of reskin it and let me rework a couple things and let's do it again. Which I feel like is a lot of what Evil Dead 2 is.
Before Evil Dead 2, though, do you have anything else to say about Evil Dead 1 before we rank it?
I think I appreciate the leaning into the earnest horror more than the campiness, because if you're going to go campy, I need you to go full Army of Darkness on me. This one out of like the original 3 is probably right in the middle.
I would agree. Evil Dead or Death Proof?
Death Proof.
Evil Dead or Spider-Man Far From Home?
I haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home.
Okay. Evil Dead or Captain America 1?
Evil Dead.
Sure. Evil Dead or Face Off?
Evil Dead. Yeah, Face Off is funny though.
I'll give it to Evil Dead. So Evil Dead or Jackie Brown? I'm going Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown.
All right. Evil Dead sitting at number 18 right now.
18.
We've done a lot of movies now.
Damn, we have.
Evil Dead 2, as you were saying, it's fucking bonkers weird start because it is both a remake, a sequel, a requel, we don't know what we're doing, a reimagining.
Yeah.
Released March 13th, 1987. Raimi had trouble finding funding because he had made a different film that did horribly. So Dino De Laurentiis agreed to fund it. Raimi pitched doing the Middle Ages and time travel, and De Laurentiis said, "We should just make another Evil Dead movie, right?" And Raimi and Spiegel, partner he's working with, were living with the Coen brothers at the time, as well as Frances McDormand, Kathy Bates, and Holly Hunter.
No shit.
Fucking be a fun time to hang out with them.
Yeah.
Released unrated due to not being able to attain an R rating. Budget of $3.5 million and a box office of about $6 million. Still profitable.
Yep. Especially for horror movies in the 80s. If you make a couple mil on a horror movie in the 80s,
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
Evil Dead 2 opens with a recap of the first film. Bruce Campbell has called it a requel. This is because they did not own the rights to the first film.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
And you watch it, and it's like, I went out to the cabin with my girlfriend. I'm like, that's not what happened. There was other people. That's not her. What? And I'm sitting there. I'm like, did he go to another cabin?
Is there a 1.5 that I missed? Did they do like the jet gas thing?
Is he dumb enough to go back to another cabin? Do girls like when you go back to the cabin? Do girls like when you take them to haunted cabins? This is all in the opening. Linda gets possessed. Ash cuts her head off. He buries her body and becomes possessed. And then the sunlight brings him back to normal. So Bruce quickly becomes a deadite right away, too.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this movie before I say mine?
It is probably not my favorite. It's essentially just a rehash of the first one. It doesn't really add much to it. The updating the technology and having a bigger budget, it looks a little prettier.
Yeah,
but even still, it doesn't look as much better than the first one.
The plot and the story just seems so in the back seat, and it's all just trying to go bigger and more crazy with their shocks. And tonally, it didn't work for me.
It's a necessary evil for what would be Army of Darkness, because now we're like,
this movie's called Evil Dead, dude.
Did you like that?
You got it. Okay, I wasn't sure if you knew.
I think it was a necessary evil to move towards Army of Darkness, because like Sam Raimi, it's interesting that you said that he pitched that idea first.
I love it,
and that's eventually where the series is going to go.
He probably just wanted to make that. He wanted to make some fantasy medieval film, and they're like, Evil Dead's the only thing that's going to give you money right now.
And he's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Bigger, faster, better, stronger.
I mean, some of the iconic things.
You get the chainsaw.
You get the chainsaw, and he decapitates Linda's head, and then her decapitated head bites his hand. So he cuts his hand off, and then he attaches a chainsaw to his hand. I mean, that's cool.
I mean, and it would become, it is probably one of the more gnarly things that can happen to a protagonist in a horror film. You give him a fucking chainsaw hand. And it would go forward in the series where like that's his hand.
Which, yeah,
like even with Ash versus Evil Dead, the Showtime series, like he's still rocking no hand.
No, he makes himself a robot hand in the old times.
Well, the gauntlet is different.
Yeah.
He gets like a Thanos.
But he's still missing a hand.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess there's other characters. Meanwhile, Nobi, the guy who is talking, his daughter Annie, and her research partner Ed Getley, these are the names of the characters allegedly, they return from a dig with the missing pages of the Necronomicon, only to find the destroyed bridge, which also Ash goes out to the bridge that he was there when it broke. He's like, oh, the bridge is out. I'm like, you drove over it.
Yeah.
It broke.
You were in the car when it happened.
I like them moving into it, but I just hate that they call this a horror movie. It's a shock fest. It's a schlock fest.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a single moment in this that scares me.
I thought, well, the first one I ever saw was Army of Darkness, and that's not scary at all.
It's just not a fair thing to start with. It's the best. It's the
best one. And then going back, I was afraid that these were horror films, even as a kid. Like, they're going to be too scary for me. And to actually watch them and end up laughing more than being frightened was pleasant as a kid, because then I could tell my friends, I watched Evil Dead. It's no biggie.
Not a big deal. The Evil Dead 2, like the iconic shot that you always see associated with the film is him laughing and covered in blood. And it was during that one sequence where all of the furniture and everything starts like dancing, fucking Beetlejuice style with him. And at that point, I'm like, what are we doing here? I don't know. I was profoundly not interested in this movie when I was watching it at times.
It's probably my least favorite out of all of them, which is like tough to say.
It's just such a weird transition between like, this is a horror that happened. And then by the end, they're getting sucked into a portal. And I was like, I was into that. And when I saw, like when he puts the chainsaw on his hand, when that stuff starts happening, I was in. But most of the time, I really didn't enjoy this movie too much. An eyeball flies into Bobby Joe's mouth at one point.
And now that I'm like, I haven't watched 2 in a very long time. But now that I'm thinking about the series, they do reuse a lot of gags throughout a lot of the movies. It's a lot of retreading.
Well, they need to. Because
the eyeball...
the first ones are known for being campy horror, and you're not going to release a campy horror film on the big screen. I mean, sometimes it happens. I just watched Suitable Flesh with Heather Graham. Yikes.
Yeah.
Bad.
I
hated it. But it was campy horror. It felt like watching The Room with Tommy Wiseau.
Really?
But it felt like they were trying to instead of it just happening. And then Malignant. Do you ever see Malignant?
I did.
Man, that was some super schlock.
Yeah, I did not like that movie.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. It was the best comedy of the year. We can talk about Malignant another time, but this movie was just a little all over the place. And when he was becoming the iconic character, when there was like the picture on the missing page of clearly Ash with like a chainsaw hand in like with a bunch of skeleton armies and stuff, I was like, cool. I want that.
Yeah.
I don't need any more of these dancing chairs and just random screaming. But it is upping the camp meter, and it was just a showcase for how they could kill things with special effects. I felt like he just kind of had to do this because he wanted to keep making movies, and this was something he had to do.
They wanted Evil Dead 1. They wanted that again, I think. And he clearly wanted to drive in the camp lane. So it's like he's between the two films, and unfortunately it suffers.
Yeah, I think he's just bored. He's like, I don't want to make the same movie again. So he's like, I guess I'll just have fun.
Yeah, and then he has a lot of fun.
But Evil Dead 2.
My least watched out of the entire franchise. Well, the first 2 are definitely my least watched, just because they're older, and we'll get into my feelings about the newer stuff.
I would never watch this one again. In earnest. If it was 5 people sitting around and we were drinking and hanging out and not paying attention to the movie, sure. But Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead 1?
Evil Dead 1.
Evil Dead 2 or Black Panther?
Black Panther.
I don't even feel like I need to say it. I agree. Evil Dead 2 or Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Evil Dead 2 or Iron Man 3?
I really hate Iron Man 3. Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2 or Iron Man 2?
Iron Man 2.
Evil Dead 2 or The Incredible Hulk starring Edward Norton?
I just watched part of that at a bar the other day.
I'd go Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, I agree.
35.
Oh. I think that's a fitting ranking.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Army of Darkness. Holy shit.
And we're back.
Man, this movie had me just going crazy. It was the most funny, the most fun. He was chewing that scenery. Bruce Campbell, he was eating good this movie, man.
Oh, yeah.
He ate every scene.
Yes. We have abandoned all instance of a horror movie, and we have delved into full campy horror in the best possible way. Ash has time traveled back to what, like the 15th, 16th century?
Army of Darkness released October 9th, 1992.
2 months before I was born.
Film was produced as part of a production deal with Universal Pictures after the financial success of Darkman, so we went and made another movie. Budget of $11 million, box office at $21.5 million. I think it was like 1000s, 1100s. I don't know for sure, though.
I don't know. The swords and shit.
Yeah, there were swords and shit.
I was in Fordyce, Arkansas, and I was just a tiny little guy.
Just a wee Tyler.
Just a tiny little man.
Yeah.
And they were selling VHS tapes at like the end of, where they sell Blu-rays now at like Target, where like right at the end, right before you check out, they got like the new shit out. Mm-hmm. They had VHSs. And this one caught my eye. And I was like, yo, Papa. That's my grandpa. Yo, Papa. Can I get this? And he was like, throw it on there. So I threw it up on the belt, and then the rest is history.
Whatever, put it up there.
He bought me a rated R movie without even thinking about it. I was like 6. I was like, thank you, Papa.
Well, I mean, nothing in this movie, I think, is that bad for a 6-year-old.
No.
Not really.
But looking at the cover as a kid, I was like, this is going to be so scary. I'm so ready.
To me, this is it gives me like Lord of the Rings vibes. It gives me early Peter Jackson vibes of just you're punching way above your money class. Like, you don't have the money to make this, but we're going hard and we're doing it big.
He's like, they're giving me one chance. Like, it's like the baseball player that gets up there and he never gets to hit. And he's like, I'm fucking swinging at everything. This is going to be my only time at the plate.
Yeah, we're having fucking armies of skeletons. We're going to have some stop motion. We're going to have some people in the background that are just wearing costumes. It's immediately so much more entertaining. And it's where I want my camp. And Bruce Campbell is finally Bruce Campbell.
Yes, he has evolved into his Ash persona.
Almost to the point of it
down.
Being a different character.
Yeah.
I've seen someone argue, though, that, well, he lost his mind out there in the cabin, and now he just doesn't care. He's kind of a dick, and he will be incredibly crass with people. And I don't give what I say. I got bull and shit or something. I forget all of his lines. I want to look some of them up. He is just talking so much smack in this one.
I always really liked when he first arrives and he's trying to explain what a shotgun is. And he's like, this is my boomstick. He's got a lot of lines.
And he's just got an attitude, which is great, too. He is forced. He starts off with, I'm a slave. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What is this, Gladiator? Yeah. He's sent back in time with the car. You can't forget that the car comes back as well.
That is one of Rammy's. What is the word?
He lost his virginity in that car.
Is that why?
That's he.
Poor guy had sex one time, and he's like, "I'm taking this car with me to all the way to hell."
You know, Doctor Strange too. I fucked in that car. He is made a slave, and he is forced into a pit with a deadite, and immediately I'm just so much more excited about all of this.
Yeah, you're talking about the fight in the water, right?
Yeah, when he's thrown down in the pit, and then he has to fight the deadite, and he's doing well, and then like another one comes out, but he gets the chainsaw thrown down to him and the boomstick.
Yep. Whoops some ass, and immediately the fighting's already campy because they're like doing backflips and like the camera's zooming in and shit.
It's just so
real fast.
If you looked at Evil Dead 1 and then you put Army of Darkness next to it, there's no logical path between the two.
Yeah, how did we get here?
They had to make the dumbest movie ever and bury the lore in that one. Fun movie.
So he is now stranded in the past with feasibly no way to get home, but he knows the Necronomicon, or whatever the name of the book is, because maybe I've had been saying it wrong this entire time.
He can return through time with the magical Necronomicon Ex Mortis.
Yes.
There's 3 different books.
Yes, and he's got to find them.
Yes, and oh man, it gets so fucking weird. He enters the haunted forest and is pursued into a windmill. You never see what's chasing him, which is fun.
Yep.
He sees it. A magic mirror breaks, and then out of the broken mirror emerge an army of tiny ashes.
Yep.
Which he's not even trying to make them look like Bruce Campbell necessarily. They are somebody wearing the same shirt with the same hair. And they're like, that's close.
Yep. Just have him face backwards.
One jumps inside of him, and his body then grows a head.
Yep, he does the 2-head thing.
The only things that really don't work for me in these movies are like the Three Stooges stuff, or when it gets like real slapstick.
When he's like jumping around on the ground going like, nah, 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 and then running like the mouse and Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, it's like I'm almost there. If I'm in the right mood, sure, but...
You know what you probably liked a lot? When he pulls his sleeve down and you can see his shoulder and it's just an eyeball and he's like, ugh, and then pokes the eye. You probably liked that more so.
Yeah. And it's just fun. Although his performance as the bad one is just too big, maybe. It's just kind of a little too atrocious.
Well, I mean, he's got to go bigger than normal Ash.
Yep.
Evil Ash has got to be a real son of a bitch.
I may be bad, but I feel good.
Yeah.
And they get into it. It's I really like the tiny Ash stuff though. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I thought that the last one did the craziest stuff possible, but for some reason he is playing Three Stooges with a skeleton, and there are tiny ashes jumping into him and growing heads on him. And yeah, I was on the edge of my seat. I did not know what to expect. Now there is a character in this called Sheila. Do you know who Sheila is?
Like canonically in lore or in this movie?
The actress.
No.
Remember Matilda? Miss Honey, the teacher.
No shit.
Yep. And it was great seeing her be an evil witch saying like, I'm going to fuck you up. I was like, Miss Honey, no. You were my favorite teacher.
Ruined childhood.
He finds I like the scene where he's like, you must remember these words. She's like, yeah, whatever, I got it.
Yep.
Shut up.
And then he gets there and has, I used to know it by heart. It's like, no, I don't have it.
It's nonsense syllables. He forgets one that starts with N. He's like, what's that N word? I forget what the N word was. I was like, what are they doing right now?
Are they towing the line?
They could have done the T word just as easily. And then he's like, da, 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 da. He just like kind of mumbles through it. He's like, I mostly said it.
Yeah, he's so confident with like the first 2 syllables, like Nosfer, Ratu,
stupid and funny.
He tries to cover up a ritual with a cough, like he's trying to cover up a fart.
Yeah, I said most of the words. Okay, whatever. Pretty much.
I got like 80% of the way there.
80% of the words, dude. Give me a break. Finds 3 books. He realizes he has forgotten the words Katu, Barada, Nikto, and he grabs a book and...
does the first one bite him?
One of them bites him. The other one like starts flying.
Though I laughed I think I pissed my pants when he opens the one, it like sucks his face in, and then when he like pulls his face out, his jaw's all long. I was like, he looks like the fucking McDonald's at Moonlight guy.
Mac the Knight.
That's who.
Mac tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just shakes his head and it like kind of goes back. Yeah,
it's almost like it was made
silly
for children, because I think I watched it when I was like 6, and it was just the perfect movie.
Yeah, like all of the big sequence of the fighting and the ladders like going up. I'm like, this is Helm's Deep.
Yep.
It's great. It was a lot of fun, and they're getting overwhelmed, and then he's like, let me teach you about science, baby. I sell things at shops at S-Mart, which that's his thing. But He also knows how to make a robotic hand for himself.
It's like a fucking badass montage where he's just like throwing shit around and then like strapping it on. Like, doesn't he have a screwdriver at one point? He just turns it a little bit and then he's like, groovy.
It works for me. But then the car comes out. I'm like, this is great. Just,
yeah,
I'm in.
It's like Gandalf coming in from the West. Except
it's the car Sam Raimi lost his virginity in.
Yeah.
He loses the car, though, because the Sheila witch is there.
Bitch.
I like that he comes back, though, and he's like, I don't really care about this. I just want to go. And was like, you said you're going to help. I was like,
I say a lot of things.
I just love that he doesn't care. Big battles at the end. He fights
the guy with Bayview bangs.
The Bayview bangs guy. Yeah, he really does. And yeah, then he gets sent after they defeat the army. He's going to get sent back to the future by drinking a potion. And he's like, just this many drops specifically will send you to where you'll wake up when you need to. Now, there was a different ending originally. You knew about this, probably, or no?
Probably not.
The original ending, Ash drinks too much of the potion on accident.
He goes to the future.
And he wakes up in a post-apocalyptic London and screams after having overslept.
That's awesome.
I like that ending.
Yeah, that would have been a nice sequel. A post-apocalyptic campy horror.
That's probably what Raimi was saying. Is like, I want to make something in the post-apocalypse. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Just send him there. But the studio said, this isn't going to work for us. It's too bleak. You're like, who the fuck cares what the ending for Evil Dead is? Like,
yeah, I cut Linda's head off last time.
Yeah. She got stabbed by my decapitated hand, and you're complaining that Ash winding up in the post-apocalypse is bleak. I think it's exciting. They had to shoot a new ending, though, where he's back at S-Mart talking about how, and then I slayed the army of darkness, and now I'm here. And pretty funny.
Yeah.
And, yeah, then a deadite attacks. He goes over the top. He, like, rides a cart, and he's just shooting shotguns and stuff. Pretty iconic. And I think he even holds the gun up at the end and, like, does the pose.
Yeah. Shop smart. Shop as smart.
So dumb and great.
Yes.
Army of Darkness
is a damn good movie.
It's a damn good movie. Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 1?
Army of Darkness.
Agreed. Army of Darkness or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Ooh. That's tough.
I'm going Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I think I'm going to go... Yeah, I agree with you.
Kill Bill 2 or Army of Darkness?
Army of Darkness.
I agree.
In an age of darkness.
May God have mercy upon your souls.
Something's wrong. Something's amiss.
And a time of evil.
You shall die!
When the world needed a hero.
The swallow us souls.
I don't want to die!
What it got was him.
Groovy. You know your shoelace is untied.
He's a 20th century guy.
For that arrogance, I shall see you dead.
Trapped in the Middle Ages.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. This is my boomstick.
Now, let's talk about how I get back home.
Foretold by a mystical book.
Within its pages are passages that can send you back to your time.
Forewarned by a wise man.
You must recite the words Klaatu, Berata, Niktu.
I got it.
Fulfilled by a wise guy.
Klaatu, Barada.
When thou misspoke the words, the army of the dead awoke.
Now he's got a date.
Give me some sugar, baby.
With the Army of Darkness.
You found me beautiful once.
Honey, you got real ugly.
Sound the trumpets. Raise the drawbridge. Drop the Oldsmobile. From Sam Raimi.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Director of Darkman. Comes Army of Darkness. They live. They breathe. They suck. Army of Darkness.
Evil Dead 2013. Explain the movie.
Evil Dead 2013. Not only is it my favorite Evil Dead movie, it is one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my entire life. If I was making a top 5 list of movies that I would watch, Evil Dead 2013 would be in there. So essentially what you got.
So you like it?
I like it a lot.
That's high praise.
It's high praise. I own it. I've seen it multiple times. Easily one of my favorite movies.
I do enjoy this movie quite a bit.
I don't remember all the names, but
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
There is possessed girl going through rehab. There is her brother. There is girlfriend. There is dumb
Nerdy
guy.
guy. Yep.
Nerdy guy, also known as dumb guy in this one.
Oh yeah. But they are
Cut her face off girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turkey baster girl, or the turkey carver girl is what I call her.
Yeah.
This came out right when I was like just about to graduate film school. I watched the Red Band trailer, which is one of the best edited trailers ever. Do yourself a favor, watch that.
Okay.
It's cut to the beat in a way where it's like they mix in like the horror soundtrack plus things that she's saying, like the cut it is like cut into the it's just a masterpiece. But the main girl is a heroin addict, and her friends and her brother are taking her to a reclusive cabin so that she can get clean. She's going to have her withdrawals here, and she is in agreement to be here. She trusts these people, and she has already told them, no matter what I say or what I do not let me out of the cabin.
Reiterated multiple times. Like,
Yes.
she's going to say anything to get out of here. Don't listen.
Yeah.
Immediately. I'm possessed. Can we fucking leave?
Yes, the whisper part where she's like something. I'm not going to do the whisper because that's just ASMR weird. But
Okay.
when she's like, I think there's something in the woods, and now I think it's in here with us right now. Is in her brother knowing her well enough to like kind of believe that like maybe she's not just that like trying to get out of here because she wants drugs. This might be real.
It was partially the beginning, in my opinion, of torture porn as a genre.
Well, Saw blazed that trail 10 years before this.
Yeah, I guess it's just more exemplary of torture porn. This is not I'm not scared of this movie. It's more, are you strong enough to watch it? And I
Yes.
guess, I mean, it's elevating the genre of, I hate the term torture porn. Gorer. I think I've heard Mike Flanagan call it gorer movies.
Yeah, this is like
Because he says, he's like, the Terrifier 2 is has changed a certain genre of horror to just be that next level of insanity. And this one, it is seriously just, can you watch? Or will you look away?
Yeah, it's definitely balls to the walls. Like we're throwing the kitchen sink at you in terms of like practical and special effects. And they definitely lean into the practical effects for a lot of their shit that they're doing in this movie.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I love it for it. I love them for it.
Filmed with almost no CGI, and it's extremely minor. It's almost all 100% in-camera real effects.
And the actress that plays the main deadite / protagonist, do you have her name handy?
Not the actress's name, but it's Mia.
Yeah, Mia's actress is absolutely phenomenal, both as a deadite and as Mia.
Yeah. This also has an aesthetic that I find incredibly pleasing to look at. Those like late 2000s, early 2010s, that era of horror films, I just like the look. It's kind of like washed out, more contrasty, and it looks great. And I'm on board for this movie. I like their gags. This is not funny.
No.
I mean, I guess there is comedy if you're like, oh my God, she cut her face off. If that's funny to you, which I could see that working for people.
Laughed really hard in the theaters when she's like, "Kiss me, you cunt."
That's
I was
fun.
like,
That is funny.
good.
Yeah.
That was good.
I mean, for your next wedding, that's what you should say.
No, you're right. Horror movies made at this time they just look fucking pretty. This movie also looks very good. And they kind of established right from the jump that they're kind of covering their bases. Sam Raimi is not the director of this movie. It is a reimagining of the Evil Dead series done by, I always wanted to say Dennis Villanueva, but it's not him.
It's Fede Alvarez.
Yes. And
who's directing the next Alien movie, which Ridley Scott recently said he is a huge fan of.
Yeah, this guy's good. And he should have got a sequel to this. I'm ashamed he didn't.
I wonder why they didn't. This movie was very successful. I remember the poster back in the day, and it just had like the words, I forget what it said, like the scariest film ever made.
I think it said ever fucking made.
Not in theaters. It didn't.
Not in
that
theaters,
poster.
no.
I'm sure you can get it.
In my room, it did.
In my room. Another, and I mean, there's no Ash. They wouldn't even fucking pretend. Like, you can't. There is Bruce Campbell, and then there's other people.
Yes.
They're not in the same category of people. But they, is this in the same universe?
Yes. It is in the same universe.
I feel like it's a barely.
Yes. And including Ash in this movie you would have had to lean into the camp a little bit more, I think, because you look at, it wasn't long after this, they started making the Ash versus Evil Dead series, which is still very much in the camp side of the spectrum for these movies.
I haven't seen it. I've heard it's more like Buffy the Vampire Slayer almost.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely campy. The practical effects are still there. It's enjoyable if you like Evil or Army of Darkness. It's not as great as that movie, but it does shine. It's got its moments. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I really like that the arrow is all the way in earnest horror. It is a gore film. It does rely on shock value and just like you said, can you take it?
How much blood can we put on screen?
But the story, I think, was actually woven into the movie very well. It is not just a cheap, like Saw 5 or 6 or whatever the middle shock value horror fest we had going on there.
I hate all of those movies.
The first couple are all right.
I think if we were to go back and watch them, we would like them a lot less.
I just rewatched 1 and 2 like 2 months ago.
1 has a fun twist premise.
And a really good performance.
I mean, I like
really
Cary
good.
Elwes.
Yeah, he does really good.
I don't know, man. Those Saw movies, they just need to die.
I watched Jigsaw. It was one of the last ones before.
Chris Rock?
No, the one right before that one.
Okay.
And it was god-awful.
What Wahlberg do we got? Number 3.
They didn't even, they ran out of Wahlbergs at this point. Even Donnie was
the
like...
The closet's empty. There's no one else in there. We have no more Wahlbergs.
Yeah.
Evil Dead, though, there's an opening in the cabin back in the day of like a witch being burnt, like a demon, and the father sets her ablaze and shoots her head. That sets the premise of where the movie's going.
Killing his possessed daughter.
In the cabin, though, they find the cellar, and it's littered with animal corpses.
That place would reek.
A double-barrel shotgun and a book called the Naturam de Monto,
which is wrapped in garbage bags at this point, right? Because you get that cool-ass shot of him, like, tearing open the garbage bags. I'm like, I wouldn't put my fucking fingers in there.
No.
And as soon as you tear the garbage bag and you see what looks like human flesh, I'm throwing that bitch all the way in the fire.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
I might open it.
You might?
I might open it.
When you see that it has teeth.
When I see Latin words, I wouldn't read them.
Nor could I.
Well, no, I mean, it's just syllables, you know?
I don't. You've seen my reading capability on this show.
I didn't know you could.
I know.
Fucking Eric, reads an incantation right away.
The actor that plays Eric was in a film or a short film that somebody had showed me in college right before this, and he'd had a really good performance. So I was like, going into the movie, I'm like, Eric's gonna be my guy. This is he's
fucking Team Eric. I got the tattoo.
And then then he finds the book and immediately is like, I'm gonna read this. I'm like, you fucking moron.
I'm gonna read this thing hard.
I mean, I thank you for the wild ride we're about to go on, but Don't read that.
I like that they have a dog named Grandpa.
Yep.
Yep. The dog has been beaten with a hammer to death, though. Things get off the rails pretty quick. The scene of Mia burning herself in the shower.
Oh my God.
Very uncomfortable.
Yep.
There's like, the extreme stupid stuff that happens in movies. And then there's just like the more subtle things, like in Evil Dead 1, when the pencil gets stabbed in the ankle. I'm like, that hurt me more than anything else in that movie, maybe. And this, just seeing her burning herself in a shower, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. The tree rape was also pretty tough to watch, especially in theaters.
This one, the tree rape is good. It works, but it doesn't give me it's not believable compared to getting burnt in a shower.
Got this slither sound effect. The last when it disappears inside of her, which is a gnarly fucking sentence to even say.
Yeah.
That for some reason it just irks me. It's like burnt into my brain.
Yeah.
But she's infected with the demon. Yes, melting her skin off in the shower.
I just wrote down a bunch of the cool stuff that happens. Yeah. Mia shoots David with the shotgun and vomits red bile onto Olivia's face before she gets locked in the basement.
Essentially turning her into a deadite.
Yeah, you don't want to be locked in that basement. Olivia then is in the bathroom and she cuts part of her face off.
With the mirror.
Eric comes in and slips on the face.
Yeah. You heard that right.
Yeah, you heard that right, folks. He slips on the face.
He slips on part of her cheek.
And she stabs him with a hypodermic needle right below the eye.
Oh, God.
That shot when they're pulling the needle out of the eye works for me,
dude.
too.
That one hurts.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can't see me, but I've cringed at multiple just instances of talking about this movie. Because I admire practical effects to the umpteenth degree. Like, if you can make something look that real on camera without the help of a computer... Nowadays, I tip my hat to you, and they're batting 1,000 in this movie. Everything it's
practical.
Yes, you can tell it's fake, but at the same time, like it's just believable enough to make your skin crawl.
It's just a extreme close up of like the eye and the needle getting pulled out. I love it.
Yeah.
Mia lures Natalie into the cellar. Help me, come down here.
Yeah.
Bites her hand before slicing her own tongue with a razor blade.
With the box cutter. Yeah.
Ooh. That works. And then she open mouth kisses Natalie with her cut open tongue.
Yes. Talk about a French.
Yep. It was like at 10, and then they punched you in the gut, and then they did it at 11.
This is the point where when I show the movie to somebody, because I've shown this movie to several people, typically I aim for people that aren't going to like it, because it's kind of funny to watch people squirm. And this is the point where most people are like, what the fuck are we watching?
It's, to me, it would have been tree rape. Tree rape that's what it's like. If you're on board after tree rape,
yeah, then you're
probably here.
But the tongue part is
that one's extreme.
One of the most memorable parts of the movie that people are going to bring up. It's also prefaced with the line, "Kiss me, you cunt."
Natalie removes her arm with a turkey carver.
And we get probably my favorite Mia point of the entire movie, where she's like, the trap door is chained shut, but she's got like maybe half foot to stick her face up, and so she can see into the kitchen. And the makeup is extraordinary on Mia. She looks like a melted faceless, well, she's got her face, but a melted zombie deadite.
Yeah.
And the girl sees the turkey carver, and she's like, I could just cut this shit off, because her arm is twisting and like it's infecting. And Mia's like, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you cut it, you bitch. And like just talking mad shit from the cellar. Like, don't you do it. And then when she finally does it, like Mia, you can see that she's like psyched about it.
I love it. I love that these movies, regardless of whether or not you're locked in the cellar, they always make sure it opens enough to get like your head out pretty much.
Yeah.
So they can just keep talking shit. We find out Mia must be buried by live burial, dismemberment, or burning. At this point, Natalie starts attacking the pair with a nail gun. David shoots her other arm off.
Yeah, poor Eric, too. Eric gets the brunt of it at this point.
Well, he's like the only one. Eric's the dum-dum.
Yeah, and then the brother.
He gets what he deserves.
Yeah, he gets stabbed by the mirror. He gets stabbed by the hypodermic needle.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot several times with a nail gun.
Yep.
Mostly pinning his arm to his chest. The nails are so big.
He deserves this.
And then he gets beaten with a crowbar that like
guy.
fucks his hand up.
Good.
And like crushes, like you can see his fingers just disappear.
Fuck Eric.
Poor guy.
Fuck that guy.
And he's like all duct taped up. And then he's like, I just want to let you know, I think I unleashed something evil from that book. And I think at that point, even the brothers should just, no shit, Eric.
I'm going to go ahead and say I think you did too.
This is like fucking Belize all over again.
Always in Belize.
Always reading dumb shit, Eric.
David is our hero at this point. I love that he was going to burn the cabin down with her inside of it, but he decides to bury her alive and then dig her up after she dies and resuscitates her. It's like
and he makes like a car battery, like fucking
heart paddle thingy that George Clooney uses.
Yeah, what is the fucking thing called? AED, a defibrillator.
Defibrillator. I love the loophole though. Like you have to do a live burial to kill her, and then he does, and then he brings her back.
Yeah,
loophole.
Yep, we love loopholes.
We love loopholes.
They subvert expectations.
We also learn though that you need to have 5 souls in order for the demon to like get full power. David, Eric's possessed corpse stabs David, and David shoots a gas can, killing them both. So David becomes the 5th soul. Blood rains from the sky, and the abomination attacks Mia. And I believe it looks like Mia.
Yeah.
Mia severs its leg with a chainsaw. At this point, a Jeep is thrown on her, and she pulls her own leg off.
Or wrist.
A wrist off from there, yeah.
James Franco, 127 hours style, like just pulls it.
I forgot James Franco made a good movie before he got canceled.
I forgot that he got canceled.
Oh, he got canceled hard.
Yeah, I'm reminded of it.
Even Seth Rogen's like, oh, nope.
Yeah, that's when Donkey Kong tells you fucked up.
Yeah. She chainsaws its head off because you need a chainsaw.
And the raining blood, I feel like, is just, it's one of those, in my brain, super iconic horror movie moments. Because she chainsaws it directly in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the gnarliest shots in a horror film ever. Like face and front on, raining blood, chainsaw coming out the back of the head, and it's just grisly and gross, and I love it.
Which is great.
I love it.
What happens during the credit sequence?
We get the biggest blue balls of all time as Bruce Campbell is like standing somewhere, and he just goes, groovy.
It's cool, but it's also the dumbest tease. They're just like, just put him in there. Fuck it. That's the only reason I would believe this is in the same universe.
I think that's why they did it. Because, like, I don't think they would create a new universe. They could also do some parallel shit, and who knows what Necronomicons can do.
Well, there's 3 books. This is one of the books.
Yes.
So I think that I think the next movie has a different book, and then Ash was mostly dealing with the other book. I don't know, though. We'd have to get
We have room for another book, then.
Anything else you want to say about 2013 before we rank it?
I mean, you might as well just handle it, because I'm going to put it at the top. It's one of my favorite movies. I love it. I watched it at a very influential time in my writing career. So it's been a big influence on me. I love it.
Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2013?
2013.
Army of Darkness.
All right. I mean, that's a pretty, that's fair.
I can yield this one to you as long as I get the next card. I get the next power of...
yeah, I'll give you a yield.
Okay. Barbarian or...
I gotta go 2013.
2013.
Barbarian's fantastic, though. For me, it's the final act of Barbarian that falls a little short.
I'll give it to you. You got me, barely.
Yeah.
Avengers 1 or 2013? I know where you're going.
Yeah, I'm not lying when I say it's my favorite.
I'd go Avengers.
I mean, the Avengers is another I mean, it's a big boy movie right there.
I'll do a rock, paper, scissors with you for this one, though.
Okay. So we go on
shoot.
Shoot.
1, 2, 3, call it.
Okay, hold on. I always have to like focus my brain on this part because I have to say it.
Yep.
For the microphone.
We don't even have to do it with our hands.
Okay. I got to do it with my hand. Otherwise, my brain doesn't work.
1, 2, 3, paper.
Oh, we're not doing the rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
You were going to say rock, too. I saw it. Okay.
All right. So you're just going to say 1, 2, 3, shoot, and then we both say it.
1, 2, 3, rock.
I thought you were going to say shoot.
No, well, that you go on shoot.
Okay. Sorry.
I was going to beat you twice there.
All right.
You fucker.
All right. So it's 1, 2, 3. Say what I'm going to do.
You know what the rules are.
I figured it out now.
1, 2, 3, rock.
Scissors.
Fuck you. I'll beat you 3 times there.
I'm telling you, it just doesn't work, and my brain doesn't understand how to do rock, paper, scissors if I'm not physically doing it with my hand.
I think we do it differently every time. Okay. Evil Dead Rise, released March 15th, 2023, written and directed by Lee Cronis. One thing I do appreciate about these newer ones is they're like hungry young filmmaker, give them a budget, let them have some fun.
Yes.
They support, like they're Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are both producers on these. They're like, that's what we want to do. We made it that way. We want to support other new filmmakers. I love that.
So when we first started talking about these movies,
Talking about them.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was in the come up to this one because I was very excited. Mm-hmm. So this idea of talking about Evil Dead has been around for a minute. I saw this in theaters. I had some feelings about it at the time, and I've rewatched it since. I have different feelings on it now. I was not a fan of this at all. Coming out of the theater. I even went as far as to say it was my least favorite Evil Dead film. That's not the case anymore.
It might be my favorite Evil Dead film.
It's definitely higher up the list for me now. Then on a second rewatch, I appreciate it much more. I did not expect to like it as much on the second rewatch as I did. Because like all the jumps, everything's kind of spoiled for you at that point.
Oh, man. This movie takes them out of the cabin.
To New York City, right?
They open at a cabin, which we find out later is after the plot of the film. Gruesome deaths out there. A friend is acting weird. Kind of just how Evil Dead would start. But our main character is Beth, played by Lily Sullivan, and her sister Ellie, Alyssa Sutherland. Ellie is fantastically acted. She is the mother, so she starts off super considerate, caring mother, good sister, and then she has to do the twist, like the turn to big deadite, and she plays both roles. It seems like a different actress.
Yeah. Both of the leading women in this are fantastic. But what's the name of the actress that plays the deadite?
Alyssa Sutherland.
Nails it.
And there's a reason her image became like the iconic picture from the film because she looks great.
Yeah, the creepy smile she's got is just like, and again, it's props to like the teams that are behind this doing makeup and wardrobe and everything. They make a deadite look good.
Yeah.
Like Walking Dead, when that show first started and you got like a good look at like decaying zombies and like AMC was really touting that. I'm like, wow, that's really fucking good practical effects. This is same tier.
I couldn't finish one episode of Evil Dead. Or not Evil Dead, of Walking Dead.
It's not a great show.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got some good moments through the first 5 seasons.
I've never seen anybody hardcore defend it.
I did for a few years, but I also read the comics. I own a lot of the comics.
Okay.
I think I got like the first 25 volumes, 26 volumes. It's a great comic book. Terrible show.
So Beth is returning home. She's a tatted up sound engineer for a band.
What they did is they were like, all right, Tyler loves Evil Dead movies. Let's make the protagonist like his absolute dream girl. Like, who would he root for super hard? Tattoos, sound engineer? Yeah, throw her in there. Yeah, that's great.
She comes home because she's pregnant, right?
Yeah.
And she just needs to be with her family. Let's bring children into the Evil Dead universe. I love
Ballsy.
it. Ballsy. Especially little girl. Like, there's like... there's
medium.
There's older teen. Yeah. There's like medium boy, and
then little girl.
Little girl,
who also if you're going to put somebody that young in a horror film, they got to be able to act.
They all did great.
And they all did really good.
They live in an apartment. There's an earthquake. And as the kids were going down to like get pizza or something.
Yeah, or like ice cream or something. Yeah, they're getting pizza.
So then in the parking garage is this exposed old bank vault. You can't keep me out of that.
Especially if you're a teenager.
Oh, it's dangerous. I'm going in no matter what.
Yeah, if I'm 16 years old and an earthquake cracked open a bank vault, I'm thinking I'm going to get I'm going to be rich.
And we learned that Danny is a DJ, or he's trying to be a DJ. If I find 3 nondescript, like unlabeled records, or they might just have like scary runes on them, I'm going to fucking play them.
Oh, yeah.
You're not stopping me.
I'll do it backwards.
I'll do it every way. I'm like, This is the dopest shit I've ever found. Old bank vault, and you find 3 records that say don't play.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, this is the most believable way to get somebody to play something, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I do.
Hipsters all over the world were crying out in joy at this scene.
And they did do a creative way of summoning the deadites this time with the record. Like, they do that weird, like, recording speaks the word sort of thing, but you've created an interesting problem.
And the voice is Bruce Campbell.
Yes, true.
You possibly Ash. We don't know.
I don't think Ash would take anything serious enough to press it to vinyl.
He was, I don't know. We don't know. Yeah. But it's Bruce Campbell.
But you've created a believable way for the deadite to end up in the apartment. You've sold me. So I'm okay. I'm here for it now. It's not just a rehash of an old trope.
The building's power turns off, the stairs fucking disappear, and the elevator doesn't work. So they're trapped on the floor, and deadites are taking over.
And they're trapped way up there.
I like this concept. It works for me.
It was nice to get it out of the cabin.
Her transition, Ellie's transition to being the deadite mom is great. When she's breaking the eggs, and she says, what does she say? She wants to crawl inside their bodies. Like, what's up with Mom? This is bad.
Mom, have you had your medicine?
She dies after pleading with Beth to save her children. The neighbors are trapped as well. Ellie revives and starts attacking the family. Bridget, the older daughter, gets tattooed, because there's a tattoo gun there, with her mother's blood.
Yep. That's heavy metal.
You're getting tattoos and vinyl records. Hipsters, my God.
Yeah.
my boys, my people.
We're missing a case of PBR at this point.
This PBR tastes like cunt. I'm like, whoa. I love it. This is great. Does she have bangs? Oh, man. The tattooed with your mother's blood. Insane. And yeah, she gets locked out of the room, and she's talking. She massacres the neighbor boys, and
very quickly.
They get a little cheesy campy, which I like that they're acknowledging it at least.
Yeah,
this needs to be Evil Dead. It's when the eyeball from one of the boys flies out of the guy's head into the mouth of the other one.
Yep, just.
That was the only part that I thought was funny, and it also tonally clashed with the rest of the movie a little bit, but whatever.
I mean, I'm here for it. This is where we do hit a snag that I still have with this is I'm totally fine with moving from the cabin to an apartment building in New York City. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
Having the deadite, the main baddie, in the hallway for so long during the middle of the film.
Well, it's the same thing that happens, though. It's just instead of being under the trap door.
Yeah.
Bad things are still happening without Mommy in there.
That's
because
true.
Beth is cheese grating her leg.
That's I forget that.
Not Beth, the Bridget.
Yeah. You do get the hilarious where the little girl's looking through the fisheye lens, the peephole.
Very fisheye lens, yep.
You open up now.
Open up now. Be a good girl.
That is creepy.
Mommy's with the maggots now.
Oh my God.
Danny confesses about the book. He's like, I think I might have been involved. Yeah, Danny. Danny.
And then Eric's Force Ghost enters the room and is just like, you have done well.
He's just nodding. Yeah. Jesus. Ellie tricks Cassie to unlock the door. Bridget is possessed via her wound and attacks the family. She eats a wine glass. You watch the glass move down her throat.
Yeah, that's fucking.
That'll get me. Although that is just something that people do on sideshows still too.
Yeah, there's a guy that ate an entire airplane.
That's
He
dumb.
did that.
That's you're a stupid guy.
How do you eat a rotor?
One piece at a time, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, so shit's going wild in the house now. But we do get what I think is the best scare, like the actual scary thing in this movie at about this point.
Is it when
she's crawling on like the ceiling behind her, all slow and creepy?
So Beth is listening to the third record to try and find something out, and she's got the headphones on.
So she can't hear shit.
That's a smart thing to do when there's a demon wandering around. Like, yeah, I better just turn my back. If anything, I would listen, and I would sit in the corner with 2 shotguns.
With 2 shotguns and a cheese grater.
Yeah. Bring the cheese grater. You might need it.
But she's listening for a solution, and it's a good use of practicality for the audience because we're hearing the record. Mm-hmm. We don't hear her at all. But we can see her because we're looking behind Beth. And it's the way she crawls on the wall, and it's like stalking her prey, like giving them just enough hope that maybe they can find a solution out of here. It's just, it's so foreboding and creepy.
This is the most, it satisfies the gore of 2013, but it delivers horror in a way that I don't think I've really felt in any of the Evil Dead movies until this one, where like that scene, scary. Mommy's with the maggots now, that delivery, that is quintessential scary.
Yeah.
And I think more so than any of the other ones get, instead of just like shock value and going for over the top stuff. This one actually, I think, is pretty scary, partially because it's kids and it's a mom. It works for me.
Yeah, making it a family, like an actual full family this time, because you've had siblings in 2013, but you definitely raised the stakes, not only adding the kids, but making everybody as close as they are. Mm-hmm. It's fine if Billy, my friend my high school friend, gets his head cut off, because I've only known Billy for 5 years, but I've known these people my whole life.
They get Cassie and Beth hide in the broken elevator. Ellie, Bridget, and Danny are all dead now, and they emerge as a multi-limbed creature.
Yeah.
A la The Thing. It reminds me of The Thing a little bit. Known as the Marauder, it climbs on the elevator, which fills with blood. The whole elevator's filling up with blood. Great.
Yep.
Yeah. The weight makes it crash down, so they get down to the bottom floor.
And the crashing in the blood would save you, because it would lessen the impact, right?
I'm not going to Neil deGrasse Tyson with you.
I think it would.
I don't think it would.
I think you'd be fine.
You'd still slam. I don't know.
You'd be good. It'd be like a water slide.
The Mythbusters, if you're listening.
Please.
The Marauder catches Cassie and attempts to behead her with a chainsaw, but is tricked into a wood chipper.
Which, I'm cool with.
Yeah, I like it.
Having a boss battle at the end of the film was not something that I had on my bingo card going into it.
It's a boss battle, or is it just fighting I guess having them merge into one being.
It's a boss battle.
It works.
It's gross. It's creepy.
Yeah, but it also is satisfying the Bruce Campbell campy cheesiness. She gets a chainsaw. It's like over the top, like boss battle, which is almost like Army of Darkness, where there's like a big villain and it becomes, like a video game almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. It somehow manages to scratch all of the different Evil Dead itches people might have, other than the Three Stooges, which I'm fine not having in there.
Glad I rewatched it a second time and found more love for it. I think following up 2013 being one of my all-time favorite movies, like, you were never going to clear that bar. It was never happening for you. So I think I judged it way too harshly coming out the gate. And one of the issues I had originally was the conglomerate, the Marauder, being...
How do you draw the line there?
I don't know.
It's weird how we do that, though.
Yeah.
You're like, nope, that's the thing that I don't believe.
No, I like it more when they're cutting their tongues with box cutters.
Yeah.
And they're like shooting nail guns and stuff. You got rain and blood? Elevator full of blood?
Can you have like 50 little tiny Beths jump into Beth and make a double Beth?
Can I get an eyeball?
Yeah.
Wait, we got an eyeball on this one. All right, never mind.
I really enjoyed this, and it's got a lot of like fun concepts and things that I hadn't seen before. This is my favorite horror film of the franchise. Army of Darkness is my favorite comedy of the franchise. I don't want to have to rank those two against each other. We might have to. But yeah, I actually think this is the one that that and Army of Darkness are the ones that I would want to watch again. I would probably 2013 is good too, but I don't need to watch that for a while.
It's not like something I put on every weekend.
Every night.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about Evil Dead Rise?
I'm sorry I judged you so harshly, but I am thankful because it means Evil Dead will continue on because you were a smash fucking success and made money. So I would assume...
I thought you were talking to me. I'm like, why'd you judge me, bro?
No, I would assume that Evil Dead will continue in some capacity. I'm also very thankful for this movie because I wrote quite a bit of my own Evil Dead movie because I was so angry when I left the theater at how I was feeling about the franchise. I came up with my own idea.
And then she says, kiss me, cunt, again.
I didn't write cunt once in the script so far.
So it'll never get made.
No, it'll get made. But if they're still shelling out money to up-and-coming filmmakers, I got an Evil Dead idea that is... It's good. I like my idea.
Do you want to pitch it?
Maybe on another Popcorn Dogs when it's got more legs. Because right now it's just a cool concept.
When there's less meat on its bones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's been ripped off.
They've said, Bruce Campbell has said, they would love to make an Evil Dead movie every couple of years, which I don't know. It's fine. It doesn't need to be Saw 10, though.
No. And I think taking a couple years in between, it doesn't need to be Call of Duty. It doesn't need to be Saw. It doesn't need to be a yearly tradition.
But if it's a new, young filmmaker putting a twist on it, I'd love that.
Yeah. Every couple years, boom.
As long as it's like up to them to do stuff. Let's rank Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise or Evil Dead 1?
Rise.
I agree. Evil Dead Rise or Army of Darkness?
That's tough.
I'd go Army of Darkness.
I agree.
Evil Dead Rise or Kill Bill 2? Kill Bill 2 for me.
I'm going to go Rise. No, Kill Bill 2. Two.
Kill Bill 1 or Evil Dead
Rise.
Rise? No, Kill Bill 1.
All right, so we have to
1, 2, 3, and then call
say
it.
what I'm going to do.
Then
All right.
call it.
Hold on. And I'm ready.
1, 2, 3, paper. 1, 2, 3,
Rock.
paper.
Damn it.
You haven't won a single one.
Not bad.
Jackie Brown or Evil Dead Rise? Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown.
All right. So that puts Evil Dead Rise at number 20, right above Evil Dead 1. And that has been the Evil Dead franchise. I like it. We didn't talk about Ash vs. Evil Dead. We didn't talk about the video games, the comics, the other stuff. But
There is a PlayStation 2 one. One of the games came out on PlayStation 2 where you like run around the city.
Okay.
That game, if I could get my hands on it, I would love to play that again.
There's a asymmetrical horror game right now too, right?
I've played it a little bit. I played with some randos. It looks pretty. It's one of those weird, there's a lot of rules and the combat's kind of funky, but if you had actual people that are going to be on a microphone who care about playing the game and not just dicking around, then I could see this being fun.
Yeah.
Playing with random people who don't communicate, it's a team game.
It's a team game.
You have to be a team. You got to be a unit.
Yeah. Yeah, I played the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, and I was like, this is just the same game as those other ones.
I'm not buying it.
Not buying it. Yeah, I like Evil Dead. I like this franchise enough. I was super cold, though. Evil Dead 2, I was like, I hate these movies. Evil Dead 2 made me hate the first one, and I had to come back around and realize there was a lot I liked about the first one. But luckily, Army of Darkness was a shining beacon in the dark.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a horror cornerstone that is kind of like it's a loose brick. That's a weird analogy to make, but it deserves its place in the horror zeitgeist. It's got some provocative imagery. I know the poster or T-shirt of the girl with the hand coming out and choking her as
Yeah.
she's like, I mean, that's iconic. Everybody kind of knows what that's from.
And there's a variant of that for 2013 that is
Yep, in the tree.
Mia reaching, yeah.
I mean, it deserves to be up there. They definitely get out of the horror lane for a long time. But it is a nice IP for creativity to float around in. You can do a lot with this story. And I mean, Sam Raimi's made good movies for a long time now.
He's a weird filmmaker.
He is.
Yeah. Always good. Usually underrated a little bit.
Yeah. His Spider-Man trilogy.
Doctor
great.
Strange 2.
Yeah.
I remember watching them like, this does feel like a Raimi film, oddly enough.
Yeah. Drag Me to Hell I even liked. And people kind of shit on that one sometimes.
Yeah. The second movie he made after the first Evil Dead was like a comedy, and nobody watched it. And I would be very curious to see that. But this has been Popcorn Dogs. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate your support. Write a review if you want. If you have questions, we love you.
Thank you for listening.
And kiss me, you cunt.
Yes.
Groovy.
Cut it.